Hello students, in this module I'll be talking about the process of pollination. So look, listen and learn. So let us see what is pollination. What you're looking here is a stamen, and on the top what you see is the anther. The anther bears pollen grains, right? Now, what I'm showing you next is the carpel, and the tip of the carpel is also called as stigma. Now what I'm doing is I am transferring the pollen from the anther to the stigma, and this transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is called as pollination. You got that right. Remember, the process of pollination is a very important, very essential, and also the initial step of fertilization process in seed-bearing plants, which means in gymnosperms as well as in angiosperms. The process of pollination was discovered by this scientist called as Camerarius in the year 1694. And Camerarius said that pollination is an essential process for formation of seeds. Is it okay? Moving on. The process of pollination is of two basic types. The first one is called as self-pollination. The next one is called as cross-pollination. Self-pollination goes by another name. Let us look at this name first. Look at that word, auto. Auto meaning self, and gamy means marriage. Is it okay? So self-pollination is also called as autogamy. Now look at cross-pollination. Cross-pollination also has one more term. Look at this word, allo. Allo means different, and gamy once again means marriage. So cross-pollination also is called as allogamy. Is it okay? Now let us look at self-pollination or autogamy. Now what you're looking here basically is a single flower. What I've marked up there is the anther. The next thing what I'm going to mark is the stigma, right? Now I'm going to take some pollen from the anther and let it transfer onto the stigma. Is it okay? So what I just did was transfer pollen from the anther to the stigma of the same flower. Now when you transfer pollen from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or the different flower but on the same plant, both cases is considered as self-pollination or autogamy. Is that okay? Now, moving on. Let us further see the different types of autogamy. The first one having the same name as autogamy. Now what you're seeing here is a plant. What I have marked here is one flower. And what I'm going to do is transfer the pollen in the same flower from the anther to the stigma. And by definition, you should know that autogamy basically is nothing but transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower. Now this will be possible only in case of bisexual flowers, because bisexual flowers would have both anther and stigma on the same flower. Does that make sense? And you can see autogamy very importantly in plants like pea. Is that okay? Pea plants will show autogamy. Now let us look at one more type of self-pollination. The name says it, gyoutonogamy. Gyoutono means neighbor. So what I'm looking at here basically is that same plant. This time I've marked that first flower somewhere on the left. Is that okay? Now I'm going to bring in an agent. Look at this cute little bumblebee. Okay? Now this bumblebee is going to transfer the pollen from that first flower onto the second flower. Is it okay? Let it just do that. There you go. It is transferring the pollen from flower 1 to flower 2, but please make sure both the flowers are on the same plant. So by definition, transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of different flower but of the same plant is called as gyoutonogamy. It is also a type of self-pollination. Now look at one more example here. Remember that gyoutonogamy takes place in plants like cucurbits. Is that okay? Or cucurbita, which is cucumber. Now look at one more case here. Now you're looking at two plants here, right? And these are two different plants. Now I'm taking this first plant, right? And I'm showing you flower number 1. I am bringing in that same bumblebee again, right? And now I'm taking the second flower in another plant, and I'm letting pollination take place between these two flowers. Yes, they are different plants, but even if they have the same genetic makeup, it is still considered as self-pollination. So self-pollination is also possible between two different plants with same or similar genetic makeup, right? And this basically will be favored by plants that show vegetative reproduction. Is that okay? So in this module, I've talked about pollination. I've also talked about self-pollination. In the next module, I'll be talking about certain advantages as well as disadvantages of self-pollination. Till then, thank you and take care.